give it to the DMV. We'll come and get you. You're going to come over, you'll meet your DMV inspector. He's going to have you sign his computer. He's going to tell you when you're ready, start your retrieve. Brakes are out, truck's in gear, keys are out of the ignition, the vehicle is secure. Gonna come right back out. Once again, 3 points of contact at all times. Do not use the steering wheel as one point of contact. The grab bar on the side, the door, and the steps. We're gonna do a walk around, checking hazards, obstructions, or leaks, all the way around the tractor entry. Shocked. At this point, we're going to enter the cab. Once again, using 3 points of contact at all times. At this point, we're going to hit the safety equipment. We've got a fire extinguisher. It's secured to the floor. The pin is in. The needle's in the green. It's fully charged. It's also an ABC fire extinguisher. We have 3 reflective triangles. It should be secured to the floor. 3 triangles are in the box. Fuses, circuit breakers, spare fuses are in the dash. And that completes your safety equipment. At this point, we're going to start the inside inspection. We're going to do a safe start to start our vehicle. A safe start. Truck is in neutral. Clutch is down. We're going to turn the key on. We're going to let the gauges cycle, and then we're going to start the vehicle up. Key is in, clutch is down, I'm in neutral. Once I turn the key on, I'm watching for the ABS light on the tractor. It went on and off. That's telling me the ABS light is working properly. Start the vehicle up. Easing up on the clutch. Truck is in neutral. Everything seems to be good. We're going to start the inside inspection. We're going to start with the glass. We're going to call all the glass, the front windshield, the side windows, and the back window are clean, clear, no cracks. All my mirrors, you have 2 mirrors up on the fender, 1 on each door with the spot mirrors. All the glass in the mirrors are clean, no cracks. We're going to hit the windshield wipers. We're going to go to low. We're going to go to high. We're going to hit it with a windshield washer. Windshield wipers and washers seem to be working fine. So we're working our way down. We're going to talk about our gauges. The gauge to the far left, the top gauge, it says water on it. That's your water temp. Right now it's running at 140. The truck is cold. We just started. Normal operating temp should be around 190. The next gauge down is the oil pressure. Right now we're idling about 40 pounds. Proper operating oil temp should be 50 to 60 pounds. Coming over on the right side, we've got a fuel gauge. It's telling me I've got a full tank of fuel. I've got my voltmeter here. I want to make sure I'm pulling between 14 and 15 amps. To the right of it, I have 2 air gauges. Both my air gauges are running about 120 pounds. Revving the motor, the tach goes up and down. My tach is working properly. As we come down, the steering wheel, no more than 2 inches of play. This is the horn. Horn works properly. The seatbelt works properly. The seatbelt itself is not cut or frayed. We're going to put the lights on. The lights are on the very right side, the very left side. Lights are on. high-low beam is on the directional switch. I have my high beam indicators, the blue light, that's on and working properly. We're going to put the left directional on. The left directional indicator is on and working properly. We're going to put the right directional on. The right directional light is on and working properly. The four-way switch is right here in front of the steering wheel. The four-way indicators are on and working properly. My clutch has no more than 1.5 inches of play. My seat is secured. Transmission, you're going to shift 2 gears. 1 gear, 2 gears, back to neutral. Transmission shifts smoothly, rev the motor. No unusual noises. At this point, we're going to shut the vehicle off. We're going to start our air leakage test. We're going to put the truck in gear. Always put it in gear when it's running. It'll go in easier. Make sure you push the clutch all the way to the floor. Truck's in gear. Key is off.
We're now going to begin the air leakage test. The air leakage test is the most important part of the pre-trip inspection because it's when you're testing the air system of the truck, which your brakes rely on to work properly. Your final test with the DMV inspectors now not allow any mistakes on this procedure, and the inspectors are looking very closely to make sure and confirm your understanding of the air leakage test. So they pay very close attention to the details of this procedure. The very first step of the air leakage test is to turn the key to the on position to turn on the electric without starting the engine. Your gauges will cycle up and down. Do not forget to turn on the electric. Now that your electric is on, all your attention is focused on your air gauges. Now you want to note the starting air pressure, which is usually between 110 and 120 when the air is fully built up, but it could be at any level once you enter the truck. Right now we're at about 118 PSI, and you want to note this to the inspector when you start. From 118, you now want to push in both your parking brake and your trailer brake. And when you do that, you're going to watch your air gauge because you're going to lose air. So we went from 118, and it stopped, and it looks like we're right at 110 PSI. Once it stopped, now you're going to apply firm pressure on the service brake with your foot and hold the brake pedal in. When you do this, you're going to notice you lose air again. Wait for it to settle out, and you want to mark the new PSI level. Looks like we went from 110 to about 101. From this point, you cannot lose more than 4 PSI in a minute. If the truck loses more than 4 PSI in a minute, it fails the air leakage test. So from 101 PSI, we're going to now count a minute. The best way is to use a watch or count out loud a full minute, watching the air pressure very closely. If after 60 seconds, the air pressure goes from 101 to anything less than 97, 96, 95 or less, then the truck has failed the air leakage test, and you need to tell the inspector that you wouldn't drive the truck until that was fixed. Normally, your truck will pass the air leakage test, and you want to confirm that. So for instructional purposes, let's say the minute has gone up. I'm looking at my air pressure. We were at 101, and it looks like we are still right around 101. So the truck didn't lose any air, or maybe 1 PSI. So it's past, it was not more than 4 PSI. At this point, you're going to pump your brakes down, and we're going to confirm that your low air light and buzzer are working. You're going to step on and off the brake pedal and watch the air fall as you do that. You're looking for the low air light and buzzer to both go on. When that happens, usually around 60 to 70 PSI, you want to note that to the inspector. Our low air light and buzzer came on, and we're right around 72 PSI. We're now going to keep pumping down on the brake until both the yellow and the red spring brakes valves engage or pop out. Now you're not allowed to touch these valves on your test, so you need to watch them closely. They don't always pop at the same time. So if only one pops out, you're just going to keep pumping until you see the second one pop, but make sure that you don't touch them. Saw the red pop, and keep pumping. yellow popped. At this point, you're going to check the air pressure to confirm that the spring gates did engage between the normal range of 20 to 40 psi. In this case, they popped right around 25 to 30 psi. So we should be good to go. Just note how the one popped out, and you need to keep pumping until the second popped out. Sometimes they pop out at the same time, but you absolutely need to keep pumping until both of them have popped out, and don't touch them. Now I'm going to start the truck back up, build up the air. I'm going to run through the air leakage test process without all the explanation, just like I would do it on test day. Now I'm going to start the air leakage test. First step, I'm going to turn the key to the on position. My starting air pressure is about 125 psi. I'm going to push in the spring brake valve and watch the air drop. The air is dropping. Waiting for it to stop. And it looks like it stopped at around 105 psi. Now I'm going to push my service brake in and hold it and watch the air drop again. It's dropped from 105 psi down to 100 psi. From here, I cannot lose more than 4 psi in a minute. I'm going to wait a full minute. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You want to make sure that you actually wait the full minute. Don't cut that short. For the purposes of the video, I'm going to move along a little faster. 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. I started around 100. It doesn't look like the needle really moved at all. So we did not lose more than 4 psi in a minute. Now I'm going to pump down on the brakes and check for the low air buzzer and light, which usually comes on at around 60 psi. Low air, light, and buzzer did come at around 70. That's good. I'm going to continue pumping down and watch for my spring brakes to pop. It will normally pop between 20 and 40 psi. Red popped. And the yellow popped. We're at about 25 psi, which is within the normal range of 20 to 40. So we're good to go.
At this point, we're going to start the vehicle up. Once again, using the safe start. Truck is in neutral, clutch is down. Turn the key off. We're going to turn it to the on position one more time. Gauge is up, gauge is down. Let it recycle. We started the vehicle. At this point, we're going to check all the heat in the defrosters. Turn the farthest gauge to the right, all the way clockwise. We're going to go to the defrosters. We're going to go low to high. The defrosters are on and working properly. Now we're going to check the defrosters and heat together. Defrosters and heat working properly. Now we're going to check just the heat. Heat is working properly. Now we're going to check the vents. Vents are working properly, high to low. We're going to check the vents and the heater together. Heater and vents working properly. At this point, we're going to check all the paperwork in the tractor and the trailer. It's going to be in a folder very similar to this, and it should be in the compartment right above your head. You want to make sure you've got 3 pieces of paperwork on the tractor and the trailer. You want to make sure you have an up-to-date registration, an up-to-date insurance, and an up-to-date Fed annual inspection done on the tractor and the trailer. There's the 3 paperwork for the tractor or trailer, and there's the 3 paperwork you need for the trailer. That's all your important paperwork. Definitely make sure you check those. If you get stopped, it's going to be on you. Point, we're going to hold it about 1,000 RPMs. We're going to build the air system all the way up. We want to hear the air dryer release. That's going to tell you the governor's office is not going to build any more air. The air dryer just released. I don't believe you're able to hear that. Air dryer releases, governor off. At this point, we want to secure the vehicle once again. Brakes are out. Always put the truck in gear while it's running. Truck's in gear. Key is off and out of the ignition. At this point, we're going to get out. We're going to remove the chalk box that are behind the drive tires on the driver's side of the tractor. We're going to move them up 10 feet in front of the tractor, 3 to 4 feet to the left, and we're going to do the tug test on our tractor and trailer. Remember, at this point, 3 points of contact at all times getting out of the vehicle. Always leave your chalk sticking out 6 inches or so. You can kick them or bang them, get them up. Move them up 10 feet in front of the truck. Tractor 3 to 4 feet to the left. We're going to get back in the tractor once again using 3 points of contact at all times. Alright, we're going to start the vehicle up once again using our safe start. Always tell the inspector this. Truck is in neutral, clutch is down, key is in the on position. Gauge is up, gauge is down. And we're going to start the truck. We're going to come to the lowest forward gear, first gear. Make sure this is a selector button. Make sure the selector button is in the down position. We're going to start with the trailer brake first. We're going to push the yellow valve in. That's the tractor brake. The red valve is out. It says trailer right on it. Do not put your foot anywhere near the foot valve. Just ease up on the clutch. That's telling me the trailer brake is working properly. Now we're going to switch it. Yellow out, red in. Once again, you leave it right in gear. Don't take it out and put it back every time. Just leave it right in first gear. Little tug against the tractor brake working properly. At this point, we're going to check the service brake. That's your foot valve. Red is in, yellow is in. We're going to pull forward 5 miles an hour. When the chalk box is right outside the door, we're going to push the clutch in and lay on the brake hard, lightly holding the wheel. Service brake working properly. The truck did not pull to the right or left. At this point, we're going to secure the truck. This completes the end of your tug test on your trailer, your parking, and your service brake. At this point, we're going to set up to do the outside inspection. Brakes are out, truck's in gear. We're going to turn the key to the off position. We have to turn the key back to the on position. Just make sure you tell the inspector this. The key is in the on position. You're going to make sure you have a high beam indicator, which is the blue light in the center of the dash. You're going to put your left directional on. At this point, we're going to exit the vehicle. As soon as we get out, we're going to chalk our wheels and we're going to start the outside inspection. As we exit the vehicle, once again, 3 points of contact at all times, making sure the steering wheel is not with 8 points of contact. Close and secure the door. We're going to recharge the tractor tires. At this point, we're going to start the outside inspection. That right here in the corner of the box. Marker light up the top is on and working properly. It's orange in color, amber. The lens is not broken or cracked. The anthem on top of the tractor seems to be proper. properly secured. As we come around, we're going to call the light on the passenger side, top corner. Once again, the light on this side is amber in color. The lens is not cracked, it's not rose, it's in proper shape. We're going to come to the very front of the vehicle. You got your visor. You've got 5 marker lights on the top of that. They're all amber in color. They've got 2 marker lights on the outside of the mirrors on the passenger side and the driver's side. Once again, they're amber in color. The lenses are not cracked, not broke. Your fender mirror on the driver's side is tight and secured. The glass itself is clean. It's not cracked. It's not broke. We've got a fender mirror on the passenger side. Once again, it's secured. The glass is not cracked, not broke. The grille is secure. No debris. My driver's side directional is on, working properly. Amber in color. The lens is not cracked or broke. They have my high beams that are on. Once again, the lens is not cracked, it's not broke. Passenger side, high beam is on, the lens is clear, it's not cracked or broke. Passenger side running light, orange in color, the lens is not cracked or broke. The bumper is all secured, all the bolts are secured. No leaks. Here we open the door for the step into the inspection. And release it on both sides. We have a ring the center of the hood itself. We're going to start calling from the passenger side. Once we come over here, this is the antifreeze reservoir. You want to make sure you got a line, it's got the add line and a maximum line. You want to make sure your fluid's in the proper operating range. If you had to add to it, you add right here. Never open the top of that. All the hoses seem to be tightly secured. I see no cracks, I see no leaks. This is the alternator. The alternator is tightly secured. The connections are all tight, there's nothing chafed, nothing burning. The belt itself should have no more than 3/4 of an inch of play. This is where I check the oil. Got an oil and I got the filler tube right next to it. I would pull the dipstick, I'd wipe it off, push it back in, pull it out again. I'd make sure it's in the proper operating range. If it's not, this is where I'd add the oil tube. Here. As we're coming down, frame has no cracks, no welds. The bolt seems to be tightly secured. We're going to start with the suspension on the front. This is a hanger. All the bolts are tight and secured. Nothing's cracked, broken, or welded. These are the springs right here. The springs themselves. Nothing's cracked, broke, or misaligned. Seems to be in good shape. These are 2 U-bolts. That holds the spring onto the axle. You'd make sure the U-bolts are tight, secured, nothing's cracked or welded. It's got 2 bolts down below on the front side. They seem to be nice and tight. I see no fresh metal that would lead me to believe they're loose. The bolts on the back side are also tight and secured. On the back side of the suspension here, we got a hanger. The hanger itself, what I can see, seems to be in good shape. It seems to be properly bolted onto the frame. We got a shackle hanging off that. The shackle itself, from what I can see, is good and tight. Seems to be in proper shape. This is the shock. The shock is not cracked or leaking. It's also got a bolt on the top and a bolt on the bottom. It seems to be tight and secure. This is the air line coming out of the system into the air can itself, your front can. The hose is not cracked, broke, nothing needs chafing. All the connections seem to be good and tight. This is your front air can. It's got a ring around it. The ring, you want to make sure it's bolted down and secured. The air can itself is bolted in 2 places. The bolts are both tight. I see where there's no fresh metal, leads me to believe it's good and tight. This is your slack adjuster. You're gonna pull it straight back towards you. Slack adjuster should have no more than 1 inch of play. The rod itself is not cracked, broke, or bent. It's got a drift pin in with a cotter pin. It's all secured, it's good and tight. This is the axle. The axle is tight, it's secured, it's no cracks, no welds. This is a steering arm down the bottom. The bushing seems to be tight. On the very top, we have a castle nut and cotter pin in place. We're at the very inside. I can see the brake lining. Sometimes you're gonna have a backer plate where you can't see the brake shoes themselves. This does not have a backer plate. I can see the shoes. You wanna make sure your brake linings or pads have at least 1/4 inch of pad, which these do. There's no grease, oil, or foreign debris. The drum itself, no cracks, no welds, seems to be in proper shape. The inner rim, no cracks, no welds. My inner tire, no cracks, no bubbles. My steer tire must have a minimum of 430 seconds or better, which it does. My outer tire, no cracks, no bubbles. My outer rim, no cracks, no welds. My valve stem is secured with a cap. To check it, I put a cap on the tire pressure. You want to make sure your proper pressure is anywhere from 100 to 120 pounds. The outer rim, no cracks, no welds. You got 10 lug nuts, touch every one of them. All the lugs are tight and secure. There's no rust lines of water or fresh metal that would lead me to believe anything is loose. It's good and tight. This is the hub. The hub is tight and secured. All the bolts nice and tight, nothing's leaking. Some of them have a sight glass. This does not. You'd have to pull it and check your see how much oil you got to add to. And make sure you got to get this up at 12 o'clock. You'd add your 90 weight oil to your front hub. Everything is good and tight. This is where we put the windshield washer fluid. You want to make sure that's tight. That's where I'd add to if needed. We're going to come around. We're going to hit the driver's side. This is your AC compressor. The AC compressor is tight and secured. Belt itself, make sure there's no more than 3/4 inch of play. Water pump seems to be tight and secured. The bolts are tight. From what I can see, the belt itself, once again, no more than 3/4 inch of play. This is your power steering. You can see it on the outside. Make sure it's in the proper run area. If you're going to add to it, this is the cap. You undo the cap. That's where you put the power steering fluid. As we come down, this is the compressor. Your compressor is gear driven. On the back side, that's the governor. Make sure the governor is tight and secured. All the air lines coming in are tight and secured. Everything seems to be in good shape here. We're going to hit our steering. Steering column is secured. We've got a steering knuckle here. The knuckle seems to be tight, secured. Steering box, tight and secure. Check all the bolts on your steering box. It's all good and tight. As we come down, this is the pitman arm. The pitman arm is tightly secured to the steering box. Down below on the back side, we've got a bushing that's tight. We've got a castle nut with a cotter pin in place. On the back side, this is the drag link. The drag link itself is secured. Once again, the bushing is tight and secured. On the top, we've got a castle nut with cotter pin in place. The frame has no cracks, no welds. The shock is secured, not leaking, seems to be bolted down properly. The bolts seem to be good and tight. We're going to hit the suspension on this side. In the front, we got a hanger. All the bolts are tight and secured. So we're working our way back. These are the springs. The springs, nothing's cracked, broken, or misaligned. These are the 2 U-bolts. Once again, it holds the springs onto the axle. They're bolted down in the front and the back. I can see the bolts in the front. They're good and tight. No fresh metal. Pretty sure that it's all tight and secured. On the back side, we have a steering arm. We want to make sure that that bushing is also tight. And we're going to make sure that there's a castle nut on top and a cotter pin is in. The back suspension, we've got the hanger and the shackle. From what I can see, everything appears to be tight. No cracks, no welds. Everything seems to be in good shape working. This is the air intake. Air intake is clean, no debris. Gonna come down. This is the air line coming into the air can. Once again, the air line itself seems to be in good shape. The fittings are tight and secure. The air can itself is tight to the bracket, all secured. Slack adjusted, no more than 1 inch of play. The rod itself is not bent, cracked. It seems to be in good shape. It's got to drift in with a cotter pin, both in place. As we come down, we're looking inside, we can see our brake linings. Definitely have more than 1/4 inch of brake pad on it. There's no grease, oil, or foreign debris. The drum itself is tight, secure, no cracks, no welds. The inner rim, no cracks, no welds. The inner tire, no cracks, no bubbles. My steer tire must have a minimum of 4 seconds or better. Outer rim, outer tire rather, no cracks, no bubbles. Outer rim, no cracks, no welds. There's your valve stem. The valve stem is secured, cap is in place. To check it, I put a tire pressure gauge on it, make sure it's in the properly inflated, 100 to 120 pounds. Outer rim, no cracks, no welds. Once again, touching all my lugs, there's 10 of them. Making sure there's no rust lines of water, no fresh metal that would lead you to believe they're loose. Hob is tight and secured. All the bolts are secured. It's not leaking. Once again, it does not have the sight glass. You pop this rubber piece off. If it's okay, you're good to go. If not, you got to put that up at 12 o'clock and add your 90 weight oil to it. That's your complete under the hood. From here, we're going to close and secure the hood. We're going to secure the hood on the passenger side and then the driver's side. Making sure the latches themselves are tight, no bolts are missing. The hood is closed and secured on the passenger side. We're going to close and secure on the driver's side. Driver's side directional is on. We're going to run this out all the way to the back side of the trailer. We're good. We got everything here. We're going to start right at the side. Secure. All the bolts are in place. Nothing is missing. Driver itself is not in shape. Door opens and closes freely. As you're coming down, you're going to should have a Connecticut fuel sticker or an IFTA sticker. If you're running interstate, you want to make sure you have a FedAn annual stickers on the outside. That's going to coincide with the piece of paper that's in with your important papers, your registration. DOT numbers should be on both sides. DOT numbers on both sides of the tractor and trailer, as well as your Connecticut or IFTA sticker. Your FedAn is only on one side. It's generally the driver's side. It'll either be on the outer part of the door, or on the door jamb. Definitely check those, make sure they're legal. As we come down, we have a side directional here. The side directional is amber in color. The lens itself is not cracked or broke. The steps are secured. Hold it down. Bolts are in place. Tight, secured. Top step and bottom step. Fuel tank straps are tight and secured. It's bolted in two places on the strap. 1 and 2. All the bolts are tight and secured. Fuel cap. You're going to undo the cap. You're going to make sure there's a chain and a proper seal. We're right at the back side of the track. The grab handle is tightly secured. Hold it down properly. The air lines in the back of the track seem pretty tight, secured. I see nothing chafing, nothing rubbing. Everything seems to be in good shape. Electrical line is in, properly secured, tight. This is the muffler bracket. Muffler bracket is tight and secured to the frame. This is the catwalk. The catwalk is secure. Right in here we have the drive shaft. You want to make sure the drive shaft is tightly secured. You got bolts on the back and the front. Make sure all your bolts are there in place and secured. Make sure your drive shaft is not bent, cracked. Make sure it's nice and straight in good shape. Catwalk secured. Frame, no cracks, no welds. This is the battery box. The battery box is on, tightly secured. Battery box cover is secured. If I was to open this up and show you, I'd make sure the connections are tight and there's no rust or corrosion on the battery itself. As you come down, you have 3 air tanks right here. 1, 2, 3. Air tanks bled daily. You got a step right here. The step is tightly secured. It's bolted in place, secure. As we come back, you got the air lines on the trailer side. All the air lines are tight. Everything is tight and secure. Nothing is rubbing. Good shape. Electrical line is in proper shape. This is where you keep the registration for your tractor and trailer. You want to make sure you've got a registration for the trailer, proof of insurance, and the FedAn. This is the FedAn right here. That was done in July of 2015. It's good for 1 year. Make sure you're doing dropping hooks, you're picking up different trailers. Make sure you have the proper paperwork for the trailer you are hauling. The front of the trailer itself is in good shape. Nothing's hanging or broken. Seems to be all in proper shape. We've got a mud flap here. The mud flap is nice, tight, and secure. All the bolts in place. This is the 5th wheel. The 5th wheel is securely bolted. All the bolts are in place. I see nothing cracked, broke. I see no fresh metal that would lead me to believe anything is loose. It bolts onto the frame also. You're making sure all your bolts are nice and tight. This is the front hanger for your suspension. The hanger is tight and secured. Nothing's cracked, broke. Seems to be in good shape. This right here is the trunnion arm. The trunnion arm is tight and secured. The bushings in the trunnion arm seem to be in good shape. You can see the air can as I look in. I can see that the ring around it, it's nice, it's tight, it's secured. The air lines themselves seem to be in proper shape. Nothing's rubbing, nothing's cracked or broke. As I look in, I can see I have the spring, the 2 U-bolts. U-bolts are secured, bolted down properly. You see the U-bolts, the bolts on the front side. As we're coming out, we're going to call the inner brakes, the brake pads themselves. You want to make sure the shoes have at least a 1/4 inch of lining, which they do. There's no oil, grease, or foreign debris. The inner drum, no cracks, no welds. Seems to be in proper shape. The inner rim, no cracks, no welds. The inner tire, no cracks, no bubbles. Both my tires should have a minimum of 2 seconds or better. No debris between my tires. Both inner rims, no cracks, no welds. Both inner tires, no cracks, no bubbles. These are butt rims. What that means is these rims bolt up. That goes rim to rim. As you look between the tires, you want to make sure there's no space between those 2 rims. Make sure it's good and tight. Nothing's loose. Outer tire, no cracks, no bubbles. Outer rim, no cracks, no welds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lugs secured. I see no fresh metal. I see no rust lines of water that would lead me to believe anything is loose. Here's the hub. Hub is tight, not leaking. Once again, the bolts, I see no fresh metal, so they seem to be tight and secured. The apron on the bottom of the trailer. No cracks, no welds. The release pin on the fifth wheel is tight and secured. You want to make sure that the fifth wheel is properly greased. As I look up and underneath, I can see some grease on the apron. I see a little bit on the on the fifth wheel, so I know it's in good shape. As we come back, mud flap secured. All right, I can see the back U-bolt now. The back U-bolts themselves seem to be tight and secured. They seem to be properly tightened down. There's no fresh metal. I have a shock. The shock is tight and secured, no cracks, no leaks. It's bolted on the top and bottom. There's no fresh metal, it's good and tight. All the bolts on the frame are all good and tight here. The airbag is properly inflated. As we come around, we're going to start at the top and work our way down. Once again, the apron, it seems to be good on this side, no cracks, no welds, seems to be properly greased. I can see the kingpin. The kingpin, from what I can see, looks to be in good shape. Does not seem to be cracked or bent. Locking jaws, you can see they're closed, they seem to be in proper shape. As I look forward, I can see the rear end here. The rear end is not leaking. All the hoses, my airlines on the back side, they seem to be in good shape. None of the airlines seem to be cracked. Nothing's rubbing. The airbag itself seems to be in good shape. All the airlines, nothing cracked, broke, nothing rubbing. And the airbag on the passenger side, once again, seems to be good and tight. The airline coming in, tightly secured. As we come down, we've got a mud flap on the passenger side, which is secured. It's cotter pinned in, it's good and tight. Cotter pins on both sides. As we come down, I've got my directional on the left side of the tractor. It's red in color, working properly. The lens is not cracked or broke. I've got two small reflectors. I have a running light on the right side, which once again, red in color, the lens is not cracked or broke. Should have the license plate here. License plate light is on and working properly. That's clear. License plate is secured. All the frame rails. Nothing's cracked, nothing's broke. I seem to have enough room between the tractor and the landing gear to swing either to the right or to the left. Make sure you have proper clearance. You don't want the back of the tractor to be hitting the landing gear. All the landing gear bolts are on, tight and secured. No fresh metal. It will lead you to believe anything is loose. Landing gear secured, tightly secured. Landing gear foot secured. Landing gear foot secured. We're going to come right out now. Once again, the landing gear handle, it wants to be hung in low range. It wants to be secured in the cradle. We're taking a step back, we're looking up the top. Midway down, we have an amber light. Should be on, working properly. The lens is not cracked, it's not broke. We've got reflective tape on the side of the trailer. You have half the length of the trailer covered in reflective tape. As you come to the back side, you've got two red lights on the back corner, one up the top and one down the bottom. They're both on and working properly. The lenses are there. There's nothing cracked, nothing broke. All right, so we come underneath now. Once again, the ribs on the back side of the trailer are all in good shape. Nothing's cracked, nothing's broke. The frame itself, tightly secured. Nothing cracked, nothing broke. The front suspension, the hanger is tightly secured. You have a torque arm, which is tightly secured. We're going to come to the suspension now. We've got two hangers. I can see the bolts on the front side. They seem to be properly secured. Fresh metal on. The spring seems to be in good shape. I see nothing cracked, cracked, broke, or shifted. The air can itself looks to be in good shape. I can see there's a ring on it. I can see both air cans from here. So both air cans, the rings are tightly secured. All the air lines underneath, I see where nothing is rubbing or chafing. Everything looks to be in good shape. The inner brake shoes on this side, I can look in and see them. There's at least a 4 miniature shoe there, which they're in good shape. There's no oil, grease, or foreign debris. The rim itself, no cracks, no welds. On the drum, inner tire, no cracks, no weld. Inner rim, no cracks, no welds. Inner tire, no cracks, no bubbles. Both my tires should have a minimum of 2/32 or better. This tire right here is very questionable. No debris between my tires. Both inner rims, no cracks, no welds. Both inner tires, no cracks, no bubbles. This set of tires here, it's got a spacer between it. This is not like what's up on the backside of the track, which is a blood rim. This is called a spider rim. You've got a spacer between. You have to make sure that spacer is good and tight, it's sitting properly, it's not cracked, broke, weld, there's no rust spots in it. Everything seems to be tightly secured. Outer tire, no cracks, no bubbles. Outer rim, no cracks, no welds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lugs on the outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lugs on the inside. The lugs are all tight, secured. No rust lines of water. No fresh metal. My valve stem on my outside tire seems to be in good shape. The cap is tightly secured. My valve stem on the inside tire is tight. Cap is on it, tightly secured. Check the pressure. Good use of tire pressure gauge. The hub is tight. No leaks. If you're going to run this kind of rim, you have to make sure. These are called doggers right here. It's like an L piece of metal. That's what gets bolted on. If you see any fresh metal against the rim, it's turning. Get that addressed right away. The rear axle, you call it the same as the front axle we just called. Just duplicate it. Mud flaps secured. Right at the back side of the tractor trailer. Up the top, you have 3 red marking lights, which are on, working properly. The lenses are red, nothing is cracked, nothing is broken. You should have reflective tape on all 4 corners of the door. We'll have to address that. As we come down, driver's side directions on, working properly, red in color, lenses not cracked or broken. A small reflector, which is in place. I got a running light, which is red in color. Lens is not cracked or broke. License plate secured. License plate light is on. White in color. ICC bumper is tight and secured. Nothing's cracked, broke. All the bolts are secured. I can see the brake linings on both back axles right here. Brake lining seems to be in good shape. There's definitely more than 1/4 inch of pad on those. There's no grease, oil, or foreign debris. Both rims, no cracks, no welds. Seems to be in good shape. Running lights on the passenger side, we've got 2. Lenses themselves are red in color. They're not cracked or broken. Small reflector in place. Mud flap is in place and secured. At this point, same side of the tractor that we just hauled. We're going to stay out 4 or 5 feet. We're going to look up, down. We're going to make sure we got everything. If we missed anything, we're going to recall it as we come back. We're going to go to the cab of the tractor. We're going to put the low beams on and our right directional. Actually, to get up in the same 3 points of contact at all times, I just reached up and went to the right direction, up to the low one. As you're coming around, you're right here. Driver's running light, once again, is amber in color, the lens is not cracked or broke. Low beam is on, once again. The lens is not cracked, not broke. Passenger side low beam is on, lens is not cracked or broke. Passenger side directional is on amber in color. Lens is not cracked, not broke. At this point, they're not going to call you, make this call this side, passenger side of the tractor trailer. You still have to call all the indicating lights. Right here, we have side directional on amber in color. Lens is not cracked, not broke. We've got a heat shield. The heat shield itself is secured. It's over the muffler. The muffler bracket itself is good, tight, and secure. This is the air drop. This is your fuel separator. Make sure the fuel separator is all tight. Nothing's leaking. It seems to be in good shape. Once again, midway down. We've got an amber light up the top, which is on and working properly. The lens itself is not cracked or broken. We've got a red light, two red lights on the back side of this trailer, top and on. Once again, on and working properly. Lens is not cracked. At this point, we're going to go back up to the cab of the tractor one more time. We're going to enter the tractor, we're going to put the four-ways on. To get to the four-ways, you got to climb in the tractor. So once again, 3 points of contact at all times, not using the steering wheel. It's going to shut our right directional off. The four-way flash is right on the front of the steering wheel column. I can see they're on. Once again, exiting the vehicle, 3 points of contact. Once again, at all times. Side directional on the driver's side, it's on and working properly. Amber in color, lens is not cracked or broke. Four-way on my driver's side is on working properly. Amber in color, lens is not cracked or broke. Four-way on my passenger side, once again, amber in color, lens is not cracked or broke. Passenger side, side directional, side four-way is on, working properly. Amber in color, lens is not cracked or broke. On the back side of the tractor, both my four-ways are on. Once again, the lenses are red in color. Lenses themselves are not cracked, not broke. On the back side of the trailer, both my four-way flashes are on. Once again, the lenses themselves are red in color. Working properly, the lenses themselves are not cracked or broke. At this point in time, you're going to ask the inspector to give you a hand. You've got to check the brake lights on the trailer and the tractor. At this point, he's probably going to stay right here. You're going to go back into the cab of the vehicle. Once again, entering the vehicle, 3 points of contact at all times. You're going to do your safe start. Clutch is down, truck's in neutral. Turn the key to the on position, let the gauges cycle, fire the tractor up. At that point, you're going to release both brakes. Yellow and red valves go in. Watch him in the mirror. He'll direct you what to do. He's probably going to motion his hand in a downward position, telling you to put the brakes on. You'll apply the brakes. He'll probably give you the thumbs up, telling you you're good to go. At that point, he's probably going to walk up where you can see the back side of the tractor, and you're going to do the same thing there. Follow his instructions. He'll probably give you the sign to hit the brakes. He'll give you the thumbs up. Entering the vehicle, once again, 3 points of contact. Do not use the steering wheel as a point of contact. As we step in, close the door. We're going to shut our lights off. Our lights are now off. We're going to shut our four-ways off. We're going to do a safe start. The truck is in neutral. Clutch is down. We're going to turn the key to the on position. We're going to let the gauges recycle. Gauge is up. Gauge is down. Start the vehicle. As I look in my mirror, I can see my inspector back there. I'm going to release both brakes. He's telling me to apply the brakes. I apply the brakes. He just gave me the thumbs up. Everything is working good. Now he's going to walk forward, and we're going to check the brakes on the back of the tractor. I'm waiting to follow his lead. He He's telling me to apply. I apply the brakes. He's giving me the thumbs up. We're good to go. At this point, secure the vehicle. Brakes are out. Truck's in gear. Key is off and out of the ignition. At that point, that completes your CDL pre-trip inspection, and you should be ready for maneuvers. This is the slider for the fifth wheel. If it's equipped, you want to tell them you got a shock here. These are the blocks. This is to slide the fifth wheel either further forward or further back. You want to make sure that's air assist. There's actually a valve. It's in the cab of the tractor. It always wants to be in the lock position. To move that, you push it to the unlock position. That's going to suck these blocks in. Get in the truck, release the tractor brakes, backwards or forward, adjust your slider to where you want it. Once you lock it out, just make sure the blocks, it's on both sides. You can just see it, it's right here. One on this side and there's one on the passenger side. You want to make sure all that mechanism is free and clear. There's no air leaks, everything is proper. If equipped with the sliding fifth wheel, these have it. Ready wheels for the slider. The slider's welded, they're welded in place. Just make sure you tell the inspector that. All our trailers are like that. When you get to this point, and you do, he's going to have you call either the front axle or the back axle. He's probably not going to have you call both. It's going to be his choice. If he tells you the front, call the front. He tells you the back, call the back axle. He probably will not have you call both axles. This is the slider for the fifth wheel. If it's equipped, you want to tell them you got a shock here. These are the blocks. This is to slide the fifth wheel either further forward or further back. You want to make sure that's air assist. There's actually a valve. It's in the cab of the tractor. It always wants to be in the lock position. To move that, you push it to the unlock position. That's going to suck these blocks in. Get in the truck, release the tractor brakes, backwards or forward, adjust your slider to where you want it. Once you lock it out, just make sure the blocks, it's on both sides. You can just see it, it's right here. One on this side and there's one on the passenger side. You want to make sure all that mechanism is free and clear. There's no air leaks, everything is proper. If equipped with the sliding fifth wheel, these have it. Ready wheels for the slider. The slider's welded, they're welded in place. Just make sure you tell the inspector that. All our trailers are like that. When you get to this point, and you do, he's going to have you call either the front axle or the back axle. He's probably not going to have you call both. It's going to be his choice. If he tells you the front, call the front. He tells you the back, call the back axle. He probably will not have you call both axles. start the drop portion of our drop and hook. We'll start right here at the landing gear. Bring it down. Once we feel it hit the ground, we want to stop. I'm going to hang the landing gear back in the cradle. We're working our way up. We're now going to pull the pin, the release pin. There's the pin. The pin is now out. We're now going to pull our electrical and air lines. Start with the line closest to you and work away from the trailer. That way you're not reaching over everything. All right, before you get in the cab of the truck, just give it a general overview. Landing gear is down, pin is pulled, my airlines are off. I'm going to get in the tractor. I'm going to start the tractor up. I'm going to release just the yellow brake. That's the tractor. Red button, trail brake is going to stay out. It wants to be on. I'm going to pull forward. I'm going to leave a 2-inch gap between the trailer and the fifth wheel. You can only use the mirrors. You cannot look over your shoulder out the glass. You've got to use your mirrors. I'm going to pull up, leave a nice 2-inch gap. Get in to do this portion of the test. Always start the vehicle with the vehicle in neutral and the clutch down at all times. We're going to start the vehicle. Release the tractor brake. The whole line goes in. Here comes first gear.